Are you determining whether you should buy or rent in 2025 in Northeast Ohio? Stay tuned, and we're going to give you more details. Hi, this is Joy with the Joy team. Thanks so much for joining my channel, and wanted to talk specifically to you who are renting and thinking of buying in 2025, and is it worth it? So we're going to talk about some pros and cons, and we're going to start with the pros, and then in the end, stay tuned all the way for my hidden gem on what I think might be the best for you. But of course, it's all about you and what works for you. Let us start with the first thing that is a pro about buying versus renting. Number one, affordability. Since you are looking in Northeast Ohio, and if you're not in Northeast Ohio, this may not be the case, but it is definitely an affordable place to live in Northeast Ohio. We're one of like 3 areas in the country where it actually just makes sense. The cost of living is much cheaper than all other parts of the U.S., and we have people calling from all over, and they just cannot believe the prices. We are finding on average the price is $225,000, and there are places that you can buy a home for under $100,000, which is unheard of in all other parts of the country. So we have prices from $50,000 all the way up to $10 million. So it's totally up to you, but affordability is the number one pro in our area. Number 2, you get to build equity. I just had a client who rented, decided to buy, and then ended up moving 3 years later, had $30,000 in equity in their home. So guess what? They had $30,000 that they would not have had normally if they would have just rented that whole time. So it is something that is very real out there. Buying, definitely, you can get equity, but you need to make sure to buy right. Number 3, lower mortgage payment versus rent. I have seen this many times by people where, again, in our area of Northeast Ohio, it can be cheaper for your mortgage than it would be to rent. And definitely check with your local lender. And if you need some names, just let us know. But you will want to check with a lender to see if you were to buy a $200,000 house and see how much you can afford on rent too. But sometimes that house can be cheaper than if you were to just rent it outright. Plus, you would get equity at the same time as well. So definitely is another pro here in Northeast Ohio. Number 4, stability. As you know, I've had many calls, and those of you who are listening might have already found this, but if you're renting and all of a sudden you get a call from your landlord saying, I'm going to be selling it. And then guess what? You're kicked out. Or they're saying, I'm going to raise your rent this much more. So there is not stability there a lot of times. And by buying, you definitely are more stable because it is yours. No one can take it away from you. Number 5, you can also check for tax benefits. So sometimes that mortgage interest, property taxes may be deductible. So keep that in mind as well. So we've talked about the pros of buying. Let's talk about some cons of buying too. And the number one thing is upfront costs. So those of you who are buying, you are going to need some money in your savings account to be able to spend. 3% all the way up to 20% for your down payment title costs. So there are some upfront costs you have to keep in mind, and you can just ask us and we'll give you more details if you need the layout of that. But I would say a rough estimate, 3% for sure. Number 2 is the home maintenance. So if you have a fixer up or anything like that, you might have a bunch of things you need to fix up, or you just need the regular maintenance of a house. So you just have to think about you, and if that makes sense. Number 3, the other con is that you may like to up and move all the time. If you're one of those people and you want flexibility, maybe buying is not the right time for you. If you are planning to stay 2 years or more, I would consider buying if I were you. But if you are one that you're not sure, you might move to a different part of the state, a different state, then you might just want to hold off until you're definitely sure you're staying in the area. I have some of my kids that they may be moving, so it might not be the best thing for them to buy right at this time, and renting might make more sense. So there are some pros and cons. You stay tuned all the way to the end. I do have to say, if you are planning to stay for 2 years or more, and you're in Northeast Ohio, you're planning to stay here, I recommend text us and our team, and we can take a look at the renting versus buying, and if it equals, or if you could totally save money from buying, or if it would be better for you to just rent for now. Because if you need more flexibility, you definitely just want to keep renting. And if you don't like doing home repairs or anything and like calling the landlord, just keep renting. And if you have no savings, you're going to have to keep renting because you need some money to buy a house. So I hope those little tips help you. We are here for any real estate needs, and check out our other videos, and hope to see you again soon.